Welcome, and today I will show you how to build this text sandwich effect. I don't think text sandwich is an official name, but that's what I decided to call it because that's kind of what it is. It's a sandwich where we have the text as the bread and then we have some kind of visual in the middle. And in this case, the visual is a spline scene, but it could be anything like an image or a video. The thing that really makes it work is that the scene has some kind of transparency, so it's not a regular shape, almost if it has motion, because then we can really see this effect. So let's get into how you can build this on your website. I'm gonna set this project up in Webflow, but you could probably do it in another tool as well. So let me just start from scratch. Now I have an empty section and I have a text inside of that. So that's gonna be my starting point. The first thing I want to do is I want to create a div. I'll put the text inside of this one. In this case, the text is an H1, but it doesn't have to be. It could also just be a regular text element. Okay, so this div block, I'm going to give a class. I'm just going to call it text sandwich component. And that's because we'll turn this into a component, so it'll be easier for us to edit the text inside. We can reuse it in other places as well. So the text inside, I'm going to give it a class. I'm going to call this text sandwich text. So let's duplicate it so we have two of these. And this second one, I'm going to give a combo class. It could be called is front. So this will be the front text. And the front text, I actually don't want it to have a color, but I do want it to have a stroke and a stroke color. Okay, so like this, right? So these will be the two different text elements that will be the two pieces of bread in our sandwich. So this component, I need to make sure that that has position relative, because with the component set to relative, I can turn one of our text to absolute positioning. So it will be on top of the other text. So I want the text that has in front to be in front. And then the other one, I want it to be behind the visual. So what I'm gonna do is the base text, I'm gonna make it relative. Give it a set index of -1, and then the outline text that has the combo class, I'm gonna give it a set index of just 0. That should be fine. And then I'm also gonna change the front text to be absolute positioning, like this. Okay, so now it's actually right on top of the other text. We can't see it, but that's completely expected. So now inside of this section, let's just add some kind of visual. I'm gonna add a spline scene. Okay, and this spline scene, I want it to behave more like a background element. So let's go ahead and make this section relative so we can place the spline scene as an absolute element. Okay, so then I can make sure that the spline scene is also absolute and covers the section after I set the section to be relative as well. So now the spline scene is on top. What I can do is I can move it up, and then we actually have the proper alignment of our set index. So when I moved the spline scene up, I actually took it down one set index because this text sandwich component comes after, so that means it'll be on top. But the text that is filled has a negative set index, so that means it will be behind the visual, whereas the outline text has a set index of 0, so that will remain on top of the visual. Here it's a bit hard to see what's going on, but if we rotate it, we can see that we actually do have the text sandwich effect going on here. I'm just gonna swap out the spline scene for something else to make it a bit more clear. So for that, I'm gonna head into the Spline community. And here I just found a nice spline scene that I think would work great for the effect. The main thing to keep in mind here is that we want the spline scene to have a transparent background, so we can actually put it in between the two layers of text. This seems like a nice spline scene for that. We could also use the globe or any other spline scene that has a central element and just transparent background. I'm gonna use this one. So we can remix this. And then we get the spline file where we can preview it in here. So to get it into Webflow, we can export the scene, click viewer, then we can grab this URL. With the spline scene selected, we can go into settings and insert the URL. And then we see that it actually does have a background color. So that is something we want to disable. If we head back to Spline, we can do that by going to the play settings and setting hide on the background color setting. Some other things I want to do is just to disable the orbit pan and zoom. So we make sure that the spline scene will just remain where it is. Okay, we can update the viewer, head back into Webflow. Let's preview. Okay, so there we see that now the spline scene has a transparent background and it's sandwiched in between the two layers of text. But what if we want to edit the text here? So new headline. Okay, so this is not ideal because I would have to edit the text 2 times to actually get it to be synchronized. So what I can do here is I can turn the text sandwich component into a component, and we can call it text sandwich component. Inside of the component, we want to create a property. So select the text and create a new property. We can just call it text. And on the other text, we want to link it to the same property. So that means that now the two text will always be synchronized. Okay, so that works great. And another thing to notice is that now I actually have 2 H1s because I duplicated my H1 element, which is not ideal for search engine optimization. So this would be more correct if I actually convert it to a text block. And what we see now is that, of course, they don't have the same styling. So that's something that would make sense to have on your text sandwich text class. So I'm just going to change the styling a bit. So now we make sure that the two texts have the exact same styling. That means that they'll be sandwiched right on top of each other, which is what we want. And this is a component, so that means you could actually reuse this in other places. Let me just make the section a bit taller here so we can see a bit more of the effect. And we could, of course, also change the alignment of it, or we can do that with another class. And there we have our text sandwich effect. And as I mentioned, the visual in between the two layers of text, it doesn't have to be a spline scene. It could be an image or video if you do like a transparent video or anything else. I really just wanted to show you how you can create this effect. So if you decide to use it for anything, make sure to leave a comment and let me know. I'd love to see it. And you can grab the clonable linked below. And have a nice day. Thanks for watching.